Hello there, welcome to How to Start a Business in Florida, brought to you by us here at startabusiness.org. Today we're just going to quickly go over how to form each entity type. This gives sort of a general run through of what you might be dealing with if you're filing either through PDF form or if you're filing online, and just list off a few of the necessary steps in formation. So let's just get started here. We've got a list of all the different entity types. So we got corporations, limited liability companies, limited partnerships, general partnerships, limited liability partnerships, and limited liability limited partnerships. If you click on each one of these links, you'll get a more detailed tutorial on exactly how to file with each one of those. A name search can be used to research, the document number of an entity when you're wanting to get a certificate of status. You can also use it to check whether your name is in use by another entity within the state, because those wishing to form must form and file using a completely unique name. So let's just do a quick walkthrough on how to register here. As I just said, your first step to forming a business is, of course, to choose a name and research that name. Most titles will have to be accompanied by the entity type at the end of the name or an abbreviation. So, limited liability company, LLC, or L.L.C is an example of that. Once you've finished with that step, you're going to want to choose what kind of entity you want to form. A few domestic entities anyway can be filed for online, but for the most part it's going to be done through the downloading of a PDF form. You can either fill it online, using a computer, or you can print it off and fill it by hand. But for all the different types, we have corporations, domestic profit, domestic nonprofit, foreign profit, and foreign nonprofit. Under limited liability companies, we have domestic and foreign, and partnerships we have it's the same filing process whether it's foreign or domestic. Like if you're filing using each PDF form, it doesn't really matter which one it is for the most part. So we got general partnerships, limited partnerships, LLPs, and LLLPs. If you click on each one of these, it'll give you, just like before, a detailed step-by-step on how to go about filing either PDF form or online. So after you've finished all the forms, foreign entities will have to supply a certificate of good status or good standing, which has been authenticated by the Secretary of State or whatever authority from the country that you formed in. So you're going to want to, if you're filing online, mail this in within 90 days of filing to the Florida Department of State. Otherwise, if you're filing with a PDF form and you're planning on mailing it, you can just attach it with your filing. Obviously, domestic entities don't need that because they're filing within state. The filing fees can be paid for online with a credit card if you are filing online. Otherwise, you're going to have to write a check made out to the Florida Department of State. There's also, in the state of Florida, a registered agent designation fee, which they usually just lump in to the filing fee, but it's usually for like $25 to $35. So that'll be attached. The filing fees really seem to vary a lot, but we'll get onto that later on. Here's the two addresses in which you can mail your, both forms if you're foreign, or just the one form if you're domestic, and your filing fees. So there's a mailing address and a courier address here. So the filing fees for each entity type really vary a lot in Florida. For corporations, across the board is $70. It's $35 for the filing fee and $35 for the registered agent designation. LLCs, $125, so $100 of that is for the filing fee. General partnerships, $50. For some reason, limited partnerships and limited liability limited partnerships are insanely expensive at $1,000, and you'll see later that the annual reports are also like $500 for domestic LPs. If you're late for your filing, it's going to cost you another $400. So, if you're wanting to save a couple bucks, you can just file for a GP followed by an LLP and just pay, the combined $75. If that didn't really make any sense for you, the last sentence, click on our GP link above here, uh, and it'll explain exactly how to go about filing for a GP and then a limited liability partnership through that filing. Annual reports is a way to renew your company each year. It has to be filed between January 1st and May 1st in order to maintain the status of active or to maintain in good standing. It's just to give the Department of State just sort of an update on all of your business throughout the year. Most entity types will have to do this. There's a couple that don't. GPs don't. Actually, I think that's it. As I said before, the filing fees vary greatly. So, LLPs will only cost $25 if you're gonna, file an annual report. Well, it's $500 for limited partnerships, and then everything in between. Corporations costs, I think, is somewhere in there. There's penalties too for profit corporations, LLCs, and LPs of $400 if it's late. Also, at a certain point, if it's late past, I think, the third Friday in September, dissolution will take place, and you're gonna have to refile for your company. So this is something that can be done online by clicking on this link. Name reservations are not available in the state of Florida. Names are distributed on a first come first served basis. Usually someone would use a name reservation if, say a foreign entity knows they're going to want to start business in Florida within 2 months. They'll file within 60 days, and they'd like to reserve their name so that another business doesn't come in and swoop it up. But unfortunately, this is not the case in Florida. You're going to have to use maybe a business entity search just to see if it's available and just hope for the best. Certificate of status, or it's often referred to as certificate of good standing. I went over a little bit before, but in Florida, if you want to get one of these, you can do it online and enter in the document number of your entity and download the PDF form. It's usually around $8.75. You can also get it just through filing for formation. There's usually an option in the cover letter. One will say, $70, say for this filing, or you can pay $78.75 for a copy of the certificate of status. And it can be really useful if you're wanting to, prove your compliance with Florida state law. Agreements. So corporate bylaws, LLC operating agreements, and partnership agreements are all essentially the same thing in that they detail the relationship between managing members and the relationship between each man. It's pretty much just a guideline for how you entity. So there's not going to be any other legal document which
displays this information. So it's essential that when it gets drafted, all managing members agree to it and sign it and file it for their own personal filing, so that it's sort of a point of reference if any confusion. So we have templates for each one of these here, here, and here. And finally, the last step to filing is obtaining an employment identification number, which is pretty much the corporate equivalent of a social security number, in that it'll allow businesses to perform financial transactions using the corporate name, and also allow for the Internal Revenue Services to identify each entity come tax season. So yeah, that's sort of a general overview of how you would go about starting a business in Florida. I hope that's helpful. Thanks for watching.